Welcome everyone. Today I am bringing you a brand new Stasis Titan build. In my last build video, I received a comment asking for a Stasis Titan build, so I went and tested a whole bunch of different builds, and I believe this one right here was the absolute best. Stasis Titan, unfortunately, is not that good of a subclass in the game, and I had a lot of trouble coming up with this build. Luckily, through a bunch of testing though, I did find one that is capable of just completely running through any content in this game. This build completely revolves around stasis crystals and sliding headfirst into them to create a big ice explosion. In this build, we are going to be using the brand new Titan Helm exotic Cadmus Ridge Landscape. We are also going to be using another Lightfall new exotic in the season pass called Verglass Curve. These two exotics synergize very well by allowing us to create a whole bunch of stasis crystals, and by using the Titan stasis fragments and aspects, we're going to make it so that those stasis crystals will allow us to deal a lot of damage, will take less damage, and it'll help us generate other abilities faster and a whole bunch more. Now, let's get into the build. All right, we're going to be on Behemoth Titan using Glacial Quake. For abilities, you're going to need Rally Barricade. You can use whatever jump you want. And then you want to use Glacial Grenade. For aspects, you want Cryoclasm and Diamond Lance. And for fragments, you want Whisper of Fissures, Whisper of Refraction, Whisper of Shards, Whisper of Chains, and finally, Whisper of Torment. For weapons in the primary slot, I liked using Verglass's Curve here, but for some reason, if you don't like this gun, Aegir Scepter or a weapon using Headstone fits in just as good. For secondary, you're going to want something a bit more close range, just because you're going to be in people's faces a lot using the stasis crystals. So any kind of grenade launcher, shotgun, or fusion rifle works just well. For heavy, I just recommend using anything stasis. For rockets, Bump in the Night works great with Chill Clip. The brand new Waveframe grenade launcher, I know it's not the best, but it is pretty fun, so you could use that as well. Or if you don't want to use any of these kinetic exotics, you can also use Winter Bite here. For armor exotic, we're also going to be using another brand new Lightfall exotic, and that's going to be the Cadmus Ridge Landscape. This is a brand new exotic that I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on. It quite literally carries this build. I personally chose this instead of the boots when you beat the legendary campaign, just because I thought Diamond Lances actually kind of could be a little bit fun. So if you don't have this, go get this. You're going to need it for the build. It carries everything. Now, unfortunately, the brand new mod build system doesn't really work that well with stasis too much. So a lot of these mods are going to be all around getting a damage buff for our stasis weapons, including our bow. In the helmet slot, you're going to want heavy ammo finder and 2 harmonic siphons. For our arms, you're going to want bolstering detonation twice and also focusing strike. For our chest piece, you're always going to want to run resistances. I know builds kind of get boring with resistances, but they are just way too good in the game to not use them. So I recommend using a harmonic siphon, a void resistance, and a concussive dampener. You can change these two out as much as you want for whatever energy you want, but always have concussive dampener. For boots, you want stasis weapon surge and stacks on stacks. And for class item, you're going to want bomber, time dilation, and reaper. For stat distribution, you're always going to want 100 resilience. And then I also highly recommend 100 recov, just because the one weakness this build does have is kind of survivability. You do kind of feel tanky, considering when you're near a stasis crystal, you get damage reduction, and we do have 100 resilience. It's just when you are weak, there is no quick way to heal yourself. So I do recommend speccing into recovery. Then I also recommend speccing into discipline as well if you can, just to get our glacier grenades up as fast as possible. All right, now that you've seen the entire build, I'm just going to break down exactly what to do when using this and how to use it properly. Anytime there is a giant group of enemies, all you're going to want to do is just throw your glacier grenade in there and just go slide head first and just watch everything basically explode into icy shards. It's kind of fun. By doing that, you should create a diamond lance, or if you haven't created a diamond lance with that, you can also get it just by using your weapon, using your Verglass Curve or Aegis, whatever you're using. Take that diamond lance and you can do whatever you want with it. You can throw it at an enemy to freeze them. You can throw it right next to you to create a stasis crystal to get damage reduction. Basically, everything you are doing is to create a stasis crystal, and we are going to use that either as a defense mechanism to put it next to us so we're taking less damage, or we're going to use it to attack with by freezing the person or just putting a crystal next to them and then sliding into it. When using a diamond lance on a yellow bar boss like this, it also creates more stasis crystals than it would like a regular red bar. We can use that to our advantage, because if we save a couple of those crystals that it creates until our diamond lance cooldown is over with, we'll just have an infinite chain of diamond lances to deal a bunch of damage with. Behemoth Titan Super is also highly slept on. A lot of people use it wrong and don't know how to use it, it's pretty straightforward. Just create a bunch of crystals around the person and just run through them and blow them all up at once, doing a bunch of damage. It's great on bosses that are also moving, because if you just put it in the path that they are moving, they'll break them for you and you can just spam them. Another great thing about this build is the whole rally barricade part of it. If you're ever in an area where you just need to stay back and just play ranged or play a bit more careful where you can't be up in people's faces, pop a rally barricade, start shooting people with your bow or whatever gun you're using, and just make sure you're hitting precision shots. Every couple precision shots, you will then create a diamond lance that you can heave from afar like a javelin to create more crystals, more chaos, more mayhem. This build really utilizes and shows off what a behemoth titan can do. Now, unfortunately, I do have to address one big issue that this build does have, but it's kind of easy to work around as long as you play smart. And that is its healing factor. If you become red bar or one shot, just because we're going to be in people's faces a lot, it is hard to heal yourself. That's why I recommend 100 recup before. In any situation where you are one shot or red bar, your best bet is just to try to run and get to cover, place a rally barricade, and just go into that defensive mechanism, like I said, where you're just popping people's heads off from behind a rally barricade. But yeah, that's the whole build. If you have any recommendations or any changes you would like to make to it that you think are better, or if you have any builds you want to see in the future, please let me know down below. And yeah, if you made it this far, I love your face. And all you fine ladies and gentlemen, have a great rest of your day.